I'm live. Hello, everyone. I was looking down here at these notes and I forgot that it was already taking me live. So, hey, everyone, Kenyatta Turner here. I am live and it is on Tuesday. And I'm here for a little quick tips on Tuesday. Just a little training for those who may want a little training about a topic that I've been talking about a lot lately, past couple weeks actually, and actually for quite some time. But over the past couple weeks, it's come up over and over and over again in lots of different ways, and it has to do with what people want. I often ask the question, and some of you may have been asked the question by me: What do you want? Very simple question. What do you want? But not a simple answer. I've gotten so many different types of answers from that question. A lot of times I get the deer in the headlights look because people really aren't sure how to answer it. They're not sure of what context I'm asking the question. And, but I leave that up to them to really determine what that is. That's one of the questions I like to ask, especially people who I'm considering working with or who are considering working with me, is I ask them what they want. And I want to ask you the same question because I get lots of different types of answers to that question that I'm going to cover some of them with you here today. And as a tip, I hope that you take something away from this that helps you help yourself answer that question, because maybe you can identify with some of these common themes that I get. Now, as a behavioral superpowers coach, I'm basically a behavioral performance coach. Some people call me a life coach, a productivity coach. Um, Lots of different types of coaching come out of what I do, but I primarily focus on the first thing, which I believe is the most important thing, which is behavior. And that's where everything stems from. That's why you hear me say hashtag behavior matters, right? But what I find and why I have this quote up here on the screen with me today is it's one of my favorite quotes by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I'm going to make it bigger here so you can see it. But he says, rarely do we find men, I would have to say, or women, who willingly engage in hard, solid thinking. There's almost a universal quest for easy answers and half baked solutions. And nothing pains some people more than having to think. I've been reciting this quote for years. I think I probably heard it 5 years ago, and it stuck with me so hard. The idea that we do not always take the time to think. Sometimes we actually need to think about our thinking, but we don't take the time to do that. We like to try to come up with easy ways and shortcuts to accomplish what we want, but we find ourselves time and time again going back to probably where we started because we were trying to take a shortcut. And that's what I think he is talking about here, in the idea that to think that hard about really important things, most people do not want to spend the time to do that. A lot of times, some people want someone else to tell them what to do instead of thinking about it on their own. But what I found here, and I'm going to share with you a couple of common themes. And if you are watching this right now, thank you so much for hanging out and taking a look at it. Give me a hashtag team live or a hashtag team replay. Let me know you're here if you're coming in here, because this is an important conversation. I really know and understand that because I have them all the time with people who want to grow in their own personal development. They want to grow professionally. They want to find success in their business, in their relationships, in their life. And we have these deep conversations all the time. And a lot of times, some of the themes that I get are, and let me know if you can identify with these. Put them in the chat if you're brave enough to put in the chat if you can identify with any of these things or have thought these things before. So this is what I hear constantly. I don't know what I want. I feel lost and I feel hopeless. I feel helpless even. I'm not sure what to do next. I'm afraid of the next steps and I don't know where to start. Oh, and I'm afraid. And a lot of times that fear, they say, will come from the fact that they don't know what the next steps are and they don't know that they'll be successful at the next step. And if you're watching this and you can identify with that and you would be transparent enough to share that, then put that in the chat. If you've ever said that or felt that or said these things like, I don't know what I want, I feel lost and I feel hopeless, I feel helpless, I'm not sure what to do next, I'm afraid of the next steps, and I don't know where to start, or I'm afraid. I hear these types of responses all the time from people that I chat with about where they are in their lives and where they're trying to go. And as a behavioral superpowers coach, as a transformational coach, because that's literally what I do, is I help people go from saying those kind of things to saying things like, "Oh my gosh, I know where I'm going now. I know what I want. I may not." Oh, and someone said I can identify. Thank you for putting that in there. And it says Facebook user, so I don't know who you are, but I think if I go to the page, it'll tell me if I look at it here. Who said that? Because StreamYard doesn't let me see who it is when you put your thing. Oh, Isis. That's my sister. Oh, you put your sister. Aw, sister, I need to see you. I love you. So you can identify with that. And I know there was a time when I could identify with that as well. However, you can move from that place. And that's really what this little quick tip is about. My quick tip Tuesday. I just made that up, whatever. Because again, I have conversations with people and I hear these types of phrases all the time. And while it's a little, obviously I feel emotional about that and I feel like sad, like I don't want anybody to feel like that. I'm also excited. And why? It's because I know that if they take the time to do the hard, solid thinking, they can come out of that place. I know that because I've done it. I do it all the time, actually. I've been in this place and sometimes I still go back in that place. I sit down here and I'm like, okay, I don't know what the next step is. And then I remind myself, oh, you probably have a plan of some kind, Kenyatta, because you sat down and you've done the hard, solid thinking. You've actually written it out. It's actually called an aspirational vision. And you have something called an aspirational vision. You have something called a statement of desire. And just with those two documents alone, I know where I need to go back to. And someone says I'm doing that now. Is that you, Isis, saying that again? I have to scroll here and because it won't tell me the comments to see. Oh, wait. I don't want to listen to myself. Hold on. Oh, that is Isis. Okay. I'm trying to just see. I wish there was a better way for me to know who's saying comments without me having to do that. But yes, so she's doing that now. So Isis, I guess you're saying you're writing your aspirational vision right now. So yes, I'm so glad you're writing that right now. And so what I do and what I inspire you to do, even if you don't know what an aspirational vision is, and I'll give you kind of a quick little rundown, but is to grab a piece of paper and start writing down your goals. Now, here's the thing. Here's what I also know, because I hear this all the time. Most people, and maybe not people in this group, because if you're in this group, maybe you do this more often than others, because the group is called the Personal Development Party, Self-Improvement and Motivation for Positive Pals. If you're in here, you may be someone who might be in the habit of doing this. Or maybe you came in this group because you want to find some ways to help grow yourself personally and professionally. And you came here to see how you might find some inspiration in that, right? Well, the writing down the goal thing has to do with the thinking thing. And I ask this question often enough, not only to my clients, but to the students that I teach at a college. I teach a personal development class, basically a class based around critical thinking, personal development, where I discuss topics around motivation, resilience, change management. I mean, it goes on and on. Okay. So, but it's all about mindset. Everything that I teach is about mindset. Some people have said to me, my students, if they're like, you're like a mindset coach. I'm like, okay, I'll take that as well, because that is where everything begins. So, but in that, I know that oftentimes people don't take time to write down their goals. When I ask them why they don't take the time to write it down, I've had people literally tell me that they're scared to write it down because that means that they have to do something and they're afraid that if they don't accomplish the goal, that they'll feel disappointed and bad that they didn't accomplish the goal, which could happen, right? It's possible to write the goal down and not accomplish it. But then the question is that a reason to not write it down? Is that a reason to not think it through? And I'm not necessarily talking about SMART goals. There's value in that. But I also think that even a SMART goal holds people back sometimes from completing what it is they want, because they feel like, well, if I don't put it in this SMART goal format, then I'm not going to accomplish it. And I don't want to think that hard. I've had students tell me that I don't want to think as hard as I have to think to put it in a SMART goal format. I don't want to think about how specific the thing is I want. I don't want to have to think about how I'm going to measure it. I don't want to think about whether I can attain it or if it's realistic. And I don't know by when I want the goal. Okay. I don't argue with that. But then I go back to the question that I asked earlier. What do you want? That's a really hard question to answer for a lot of people. Sometimes it's because as soon as they ask the question, what do I want? Then the next thing that pops in their head is, well, how am I going to get it? And if they don't know the answer to the how they're going to get it, it's hard for them to admit that they want it or are going to get it, because they don't know how that's going to happen. So they already start talking themselves out of a great idea that they just had because they don't know the how. So one of my tips to you is, well, the first tip is to ask yourself the question, what do I want, and write it down. The second tip is to not let the lack of understanding the how prevent you from writing it down. Write it down anyway. Okay. Do the hard, solid thinking that Martin Luther King Jr. right here says most people will not do because they want easy answers and half-baked solutions. But then ask yourself, is that what I really want for my life? Do I want an easy answer or a half-baked solution or a half-baked plan? Or will I sit down and do the hard, solid thinking about what it is I want, even though it won't be easy, even though you'll get distracted, even though you'll realize, oh, I don't need to think about this right now. Let me go and watch TV and I'll think about it later. That's what he's talking about right there. Nothing pains people more than having to think. We don't think about our thinking. We were having a conversation on the radio show the other day. I host a radio show called The Natural Grocer. And we had Mr. Oxygen on the show, and he was talking about the benefits of oxygen and ozone therapy and if it works to help cure illnesses and diseases. Well, the answer is unequivocally yes, it is true. Okay. However, he was talking about, breathing and how we don't think about our breathing, we just breathe. But what if we were more intentional in our breathing? There are ways to obviously bring more oxygen into your system by thinking about doing it versus just doing it because your body's automatically doing it. Thinking's kind of the same way. You just think. But what about thinking about your thinking? What about being intentional about that? That's the other tip, is if you do that, then you can answer the question and get closer to the answer of what do you want and not be afraid of the answer. So that's really my short tip to you today is, one, ask yourself the question, what do you want? And be honest with yourself about what you want with no fear that you've made this decision that you want this thing. It doesn't matter if other people don't want it for you or don't agree with why you want it. It's not about them. It's about you. What do you want? And then write that down. Don't be afraid to write it down. Do the hard, solid thinking that it's going to take to do that. Don't worry about the why or the how. Some people say, and some people, I'll be very specific, Simon Sinek says, start with why. He has a very good book that talks about starting with why. And I will be, maybe I'm not the first to say it, but I always say it is, I think you need to start with what, not why. I don't know how you can know the why if you don't know the what. So for me personally, I've got to start with the what before I get to the why. So ask yourself, what do I want? Not why do I want it? What is the it? You can't, if you don't know the it doesn't matter why you want something you don't know you want. Okay. So start with the what first, and go from that route, and then take it from there. Take it from that point of, okay, I decided this is what I want. I don't know how, but this is what I want. And I'm going to spend the time thinking about it in a way that's going to allow me to write it out in some sort of plan of some kind so that you don't forget, right? You're going to come up with great ideas. So have a journal nearby, write it down. That's another tip, scratch it on a piece of paper or a sticky note or a napkin or something, right? Because that's going to be helpful to you. And then you can flesh it out from there. You can create an aspirational vision, which comes from the book, The 12-Week Year. You can create a statement of desire, which comes from the book, Think and Grow Rich. And then you can rewrite them again and again. Just for anybody who's wondering, I rewrite my aspirational vision and my statement of desire every single 12 weeks. Every single 12 weeks, I bring both of those out, and I have the framework because I've been working on it for many years, many 12-week years anyway. And I rewrite it because every time a 12-week year happens, there's something new or something different, or I've accomplished one of those goals, or I'm working on a new one. I've changed, I've grown, I've learned new things about myself. I've made new connections and new opportunities. I've had new clients that inspired me in a new way. I've created a new program. I'm working on a new project, whatever that is, a new personal development goal for myself, a new health goal for myself, whatever it is. That all becomes part of my aspirational vision. I rewrite that again and again because I want to stay in tune and in touch, tapped in, turned on and tuned in, right, to what it is I want. But again, you have to do the hard, solid thinking to make that happen. So that's the tip for today. And the last thing that I'll mention, two more things I'll mention. This Facebook group has had a birthday and I totally missed it. I thought about it and then it left and I missed it. Now here's why I know we had a birthday, because it coincides with my dog's birthday. So this group started August 11th, I think I started this group last year. And then I remember a couple weeks later, it was Stella's birthday. And so her birthday came and went. And I remember thinking, oh, wait, the group's been around a year. We should have a birthday party. And then I don't know, it's already whatever date it is now. So obviously we missed the birthday party. But I don't think it's ever too late to have a birthday party. So I'm saying this to say that I'm probably going to do something and have some sort of birthday party for the Personal Development Party Facebook group. I don't know what yet. I've got a couple ideas in my head. So stay tuned because we need to celebrate birthdays. I've been trying to celebrate every other birthday in here when I can keep up with it. And man, you guys are having a lot of birthdays, which is exciting. So more trips around the sun, right? Celebrate life. I love it. And then we need to celebrate the birthday of the group too. So I'm planning something. Stay tuned. We'll see how that looks, but it'll be coming, but it'll be belated birthday party. Just know that. Next thing is, I'm going to drop a link in the chat or put in a thing to a podcast that I have done. Well, I didn't do it. It was actually a keynote talk that I did that was turned into a podcast. And it tells a version of my story that is in alignment with thinking about what it is that you want. And having the force or the not foresight, is foresight the word? Whatever. Having the thought process to think in the future, even though you don't know what the future is going to look like, but still having a desire for something so strong that you will make decisions that other people won't always understand in order to have and get the thing that you want. And I tell a version of a story that happened in my life when I was a teenager that led up to some decisions that I made that wound up putting me right here in front of you right now. I believe that 100%. If you want to hear that story, listen to the podcast, review the podcast if you would. Tell me what your thoughts are about it. But I'm going to share it with you and put it in the chat if you haven't checked it out already. We did it at the Success Fest a couple weeks ago. So take a listen to that. Keep an eye out for information about the birthday party that's going to be coming up, the belated birthday party. And remember the tips that I talked about. If you heard the tips, put them in the chat. If you want to recap them and type notes for those as you're watching this in the replay, put those tips in the chat because maybe someone else won't watch the video, but they'll read your notes and then they will find out what those tips are. So I got to go right now. This went a little longer than I thought. Just a quick tip for Tuesday, a little training about what do you want. And then, of course, the reminder of this quote, one of my favorite quotes for the last several years by Martin Luther King Jr. is, rarely do we find men or women who willingly engage in hard, solid thinking. There's almost a universal quest for easy answers and half-baked solutions. Nothing pains people more than having to think. And if you agree with that, then put I agree in the chat. Or if you say he is so wrong, then put he's so wrong. Either way, I love the dialogue and the conversation about it. Ask yourself, are you someone who does the hard, solid thinking? Or are you someone who's looking for easy answers and half-baked solutions? Are you willing to do the hard work on your life to develop it into what it is you say you want it to be? And have you even decided what you wanted it to be? Or are you one of the people who tells me these common themes I hear all the time? I hear Kenyatta, I don't know what I want. I feel lost or hopeless. I feel helpless. I'm not sure what to do next. I'm afraid of the next steps. I don't know where to start. These are ones I just heard the other day. I hear them all the time. Where do you fall in there? And are you willing to do the hard, solid thinking to get yourself out of there? And you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do it alone. You can do it with help. You can find help. And I might be the right person to help you or not. Doesn't matter. But no, you don't have to figure it out alone. No one's coming to save you, but you don't have to figure it out alone either. So think about that. So I'm out of here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching all the things. Enjoy your Tuesday, and I will see you next time. This is Kenyatta Turner, CEO and founder of Freedom Empire Consulting, where I coach, influence, and protect. And remember, always #behavior matters. Talk to you guys later. Bye.